Things really stack up. Well, Doug Wead joins us now. He's a presidential historian, former senior White House staffer for President George H.W. Bush, and author of the book Game of Thorns, the inside story of Hillary Clinton's failed campaign and Donald Trump's winning strategy. Doug, good to see you. First, talking about winning strategy, the successes. Supreme Court Judge Gorsuch, you've got the Syrian missile firing that deterred Assad from using chemical weapons again. Apparently worked to send a message to Kim Jong-un. He didn't conduct a nuclear test, but of course you got health care, you got taxes and other things hanging out there. So on balance, how do you think the president's done?
I give him an A+. I'll tell you why. I study and read history, and historians have to deal with facts, and we can't just go with emotion. And the national media is ignoring what's been accomplished. But remember when Barack Obama was inaugurated, it was a special moment for America, an African-American president, and we shared the joy with our African-American brothers and sisters for that moment, whether we were Republican or Democrat, left or right. I think Terry Moran of ABC said Barack Obama would be only the second president, the other being George Washington, who would step down when he became president. And Harry Smith of CBS said it was like a sacrament, the inauguration. Well, when he reached 100 days, the media positively gushed. And here's what they said. Barack Obama has signed twice as many bills into law as George W. Bush.
Do you know how many that
14.
is? 14. That was 14. And Mr. Trump has... Drumroll.
28.
Okay.
So we're making news here today. Most people who are watching this right now, Eric, will not believe us, but they can go to PolitiFact, which won a Pulitzer Prize, very factual. It'll outline all 28 bills that were signed into law. But he didn't get some he wanted, like the tax, that's coming later, and repeal and replace Obamacare, but twice as many as Barack Obama. No wonder he's a bit frustrated.
Well, you give him an A+, but what about those who give him an F? I mean, they say he's impulsive. They say this administration that's careening. You got a lot of top jobs that are, remain open, and the foreign policy is a mess.
Well, I like the economy's turned around. That's very clearly demonstrated by the stock market. People there are not voting in opinion polls. They're putting their money into it. And Wall Street was solidly in Hillary Clinton's camp. So the fact that they've come around tells me they're ready to get away from this corporate cronyism and get back into free markets and free enterprise. He's turned around illegal immigration. No, he hasn't built the wall. He is the wall. The immigration, illegal immigration numbers have dropped like
73% or something, that they say.
That's right.
Everyone's talking about the 100 days today, but the Wall Street Journal has an interesting editorial because they say, forget this. Forget the last 100 days. What counts are the next 200 to 300 days. Here's what they say. Let me get your reaction.
True.
The next 200 or 300 days will determine whether Mr. Trump is a successful president or a Republican Jimmy Carter. Ouch. More than most presidents, Mr. Trump will be measured by performance because he lacks a large party or ideological base of support. He needs to show policy results that produce faster economic growth. That means learning the lessons of the first 100 days so they aren't repeated in the next 200. I mean, do you think he can do that and that will happen? I mean, they've said the growth is, 0.27% or something the first quarter, which is really low. What do you expect will happen, as the Journal says, is so crucial in the next 300 days?
Hey, Eric, I don't know. I'm a historian, not a prophet, but I can tell you that LBJ was out of the gate in high speed. He had the best 100 days since FDR, and he couldn't even run for re-election. There were tanks in the street in Washington, D.C., and neighborhoods in 120 cities had burned to the ground. He was a superb politician, but it was not a good presidency. So the 100 days is not the end of it. It's just the beginning of a presidency.
Especially when you consider what they're like 1,400 left to go. So we'll see how it goes. Doug Wead, thank you for your historical perspective tonight.